Hi my dear friends, my name is Hussein Mashayekhi and I'm back with another session from our tutorial series for Unreal. I hope you've been enjoying the videos so far. In this one we're going to start working on first person character for our scenes. So we're going to add a first person character to our scene so that our client gets to walk around in our buildings and our scenes, and we have to create some limitations with the help of blueprints so that our clients do not go to the places that we do not intend them to. So the first thing that we need to do is to go to our content browser, and we can create a new folder here and we can just name it first person, for example. Okay, so the first thing we do is to create this folder, and then we double click on it and right click inside the folder and add feature or content pack. So we get this window and we have first person, third person, top down, and vehicle. So we have the option of choosing any of these types of characters for our scenes, but realistically we don't really care about them. So the only thing that we care about is the first person for our architectural purposes. So we add that, and what happens is that we get these two new folders. One of them is called blueprints and the other one maps. So let's just open them up and see what's inside. Inside maps we have these two files, okay, and inside blueprints we have these four files. Okay, so this first one, BP first person character, is the most important one for our purposes. We need to drag this and add this into our scene. Now, what are blueprints? Blueprints are basically codes that help us create some situations for our clients so that they can just change the color of a furniture or a cabinet or something and do them more easily and handily. So we have a workshop for that as well, but that's outside the scope of this course. So for now, let's just drag this first person character inside our scene, okay, like so, and we get the view in the right bottom part too. If I press G on my keyboard, we see the camera too. So make sure you drag this file, BP first person character, not the other files. If you drag the gun, for example, nothing happens. It doesn't help you. So make sure that you drag BP first person character into your scene, and now you have the first person that you wanted to inside our scene. So we close that window, and let's just look at this character from another angle. You see this capsule around this character. If this capsule is too big and too wide, our client is gonna have problems when they are moving. Okay, so we need to change the size for that too. So let's just put it to the side, change the angle. Okay, so let me sure that this capsule has been put correctly on the ground, on the floor. So all right, now the first thing that I need to do is, if I click on play again, I'm not inside the character. See, I can just roam this building freely, but that's not what we wanted. So if we want to go inside the character when we hit play, we need to go to project setting, and inside project setting from edit we need to go to maps and modes, and then we need to find out the level that we are currently at. Right now we are on the main level. Right now if I open my content browser, you can see that the levels are kind of have this orange bar on them. So this is the main level. If you didn't know what level you are at for whatever reason, you can go to file and save current level as, and for example select your own name for it, whatever name you want, and save it. And then you know what level you are at, and you can just choose that level when you want to make your first person character have that play option. So right now I go back to edit and project setting, and under maps and modes I can go to the default maps, and here choose the level that I want. All I have here is the main level, so I leave it there. So main level is selected here. Okay, now we need to do something else. We need to go to the default modes, and under default game mode we need to search for the BP blueprint first person character that we dragged into our scene. So default modes, and here we search for BP first person game mode. Here we select it, and now if we just close this and click on this game button, play button here, we can see that we are inside the first person character that we talked about. Now if we move with this first person view. Okay, So this solved our problem. Alright, now we can just move around our scene and check out a few things in the scene. For example, if we go to this part, it's because of the capsule that we cannot move through this part. So we can change that later on. We can change the speed and we can change a lot of collision points and areas in our scene. For example, this plant, right now we are going through this plant, but if we put a collision for it, this doesn't happen. The same thing for the furniture. Right now, when we are stepping to the furniture, we are stepping on it. To solve that problem, we need to create a bigger collision area for these furnitures. So I click on the static mesh and go to the collisions, and let's just add one here. Now we have, I think, two. So let me just remove one, delete this. Okay. We need to make this collision in the height axis bigger. Okay, like so. All right, now I'm gonna save it, go back. I'm gonna do the same thing for these other pieces of furniture. Okay, this one, let's just remove the previous collision, add one. Okay, let's just remove it and add one. All right, now we need to again make this scale it up in the height axis, like so. We save it again, go back to our scene, do the same thing for these pieces here. So I again click on the static mesh, go to collisions, remove the previous one, add one here. So these were the types of limitations that I talked about in the beginning of the video when I said we need to create some limitations for our client when they are moving inside our scene. So do the same thing for the last piece, add a collision and make it bigger in the height axis. Okay, now if I click on play, this is what our client sees and gets to do inside our scenes. So let me just move back to this part here. Okay, now I want to try to see if I can step on these pieces of furniture again. There, you see that it doesn't happen again. So because we made the collision areas taller, I cannot step on these pieces of furniture. And that is something that I needed to do for my client. Okay, so now if I click on player collision and see that view, you can see all these collisions that we made, these ones. So they have different sizes in terms of height. We can just edit them later on, but we don't really need to. These will work just fine. So let's go back to the blend mode. So this was a very useful tip for you to do. So again, if you needed to create collision zones and areas, this is the way to do it. Now let's go to this player capsule and make some changes here, make it smaller and get rid of these arms as well. We don't need to have these arms visible. So for that to happen, first we go to this right panel and on first person camera, we click on edit. Okay, and we get this slate full of different blueprints. Alright, so we have different blueprints here that have already been coded for us. We have jump, for example, down here that we can delete if we don't want our character or client to jump into our scenes. But I suggest that you don't tamper with any of this and leave it be. These are gonna just work fine and we don't need to create any changes here. So let's go about hiding those arms. Right now in our viewport, I can see the arms. One way of doing it is to just move this pivot here, okay, to the back, and now we can't see it anymore. The second method is to just go to details and search for hidden, and if you enable this box hidden in game, you're not gonna see it anymore, and this is the best method. If you put the pivot back there, the first method, you're gonna see these arms when you are facing a mirror. So that's not a very good way. And if you delete it too, like so, the problem with this method is that when you're at the final stages of your work and you want to make a package for your client, you will get some errors. So the best way is to just hide it. So I'm going to click on compile, and right now the next thing that we want to do is to change the size of this capsule here. So we need to make it more narrow so that we can just go through some places, for example inside our kitchen. So if we go to this shape here, and we can, for example, for the height put 180, okay, and for this capsule radius put 30 or 20. Let's try 30, okay. So this will easily go through the parts that we had problems with. We can change the placement of the camera too. I select it and move it up there because it's gonna play the role of the eyes of the person for us. So it's the back of the head. So I can just use this gizmo and place it anywhere that I want. Right there probably seems appropriate. Okay, so I can tweak that. I click on compile too, and now the next thing that I want to work on is the speed of the movement of my character. So I have this character movement under components. I click on it, and inside the search box I need to search for the word walk. So I have max walk speed, and right now for testing purposes I'm going to put this on 200 for example, and I'm gonna click on compile again and save it, and just close this, go back and hit play, and now you can see that we have the vision or the view of a giant. It's just the camera has been placed too high, and we're gonna fix that later on, but you can see that we are moving like a giant in our scene right now. And the big problem is that I put 180 for the height, but I needed to put 90 because it has two 180s, one here, one down here. It's basically 360 for the height. So let's just change that, go back to this capsule, and for the capsule half height, put for example half of this, 90, okay? And for the camera, we need to move this a little bit lower, but not too low. So if this is 90, 150 would be a suitable number. I'm gonna put 150 here. So I'm gonna save everything, go back to the scene. Okay, let's just check this out. Put this on the floor like so. And after that, I'm going to click on play and see what I have here. Okay, it got better, but I still think that we are too tall. So we need to fix this even further. So let's go back to this capsule. So I click on edit here and find my camera in my viewport and move it lower. Okay, I'm gonna put it above 90 here. Okay, maybe here. Okay, so save it. Let's go back, click on play. Okay, so this is what I wanted, and this is basically a normal human being with a normal height and walking with a normal pace. So let's just go to the kitchen and see if we can go through that part that we could not previously go through. All right, we can easily go through this part because we made the capsule a lot more narrow, and we can go over this table here because we did not create a big collision for this table. We can jump. Okay, we can just jump above the table over it, and if you didn't want the client to jump, you can just disable it too. We have this leftover door handle here. All right, so this is basically the .exe package that we are going to hand on to our clients. They will be able to go through the scene like so. I can even change the character movement speed again, and if we search for walk again and change this max speed from 200 to 120, we can compile it and save and go back to the scene. And if I click on play again, let's try out this pace. And personally, I think 120 would be an ideal number for max speed pace. So again, this is how the client would walk through the scene, and they have full autonomy in terms of movement. They can just look up, look down 360 degrees in every direction. And we have made some collision zones, for example, these furniture pieces here, and obviously the column, the walls here, so they cannot move through these walls or these parts, just like a game, a first-person game that you will play. So the same thing happens in those games too. And that's basically a wrap for this video. For the next one, we're going to learn how to create an export file, which could be a .exe or an executable file that the client can just open up in their Windows and go through the scene like we did in this session. So make sure you keep practicing and everything. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.